to another edition of Around the County. You're looking at the best and brightest in Bradley County schools. My name is Scott Webb. I am the Instructional Technology Supervisor for Bradley County Schools. My co-host, my partner in crime, Mr. Denny Collins. How are we doing today, Denny?
Yes, sir. Doing great. Excited to be here. Going to be a great show today for sure.
It is going to be a great show. It's a big show. It's so big of a show we don't have enough microphones for everybody at the show. Didn't you introduce our guests?
Well, I'm stunned that we don't have the equipment we need in this wonderful facility. So
well,
I'm hoping
it was It was more of a time issue than not having the equipment. We definitely got the equipment here in the Jim and Carolyn Williams studio here at the Pie Center.
We have special guests in the Jim and Carolyn Williams studio here at the Pie Center. All-time favorites. Just some great people from Lake Forest Middle School today, highlighting some great programs at Lake Forest, but one in specific. We have the good doctor, Dr. Carissa Sapp. Dr. Sapp, administrator extraordinaire. And
let's be honest.
She's running.
I don't know if that ship's staying afloat if she's not around.
That's a fact.
Especially with Mr. Robbie Winters.
Well, we got
Mr.
Robbie
Richie
Winters,
Stevenson.
Mr. Richie Stevenson, Mr. Andy Jenkins.
Mr. Andy Jenkins.
Dr. Sapp.
We are grateful.
We are grateful to have you here. Introduce yourself. Who are you? What are you doing here? Who do you got with you?
So we're just so excited to be here this morning. I do work with a great team at Lake Forest Middle School, so we
dug out of that hole quick.
Yeah,
we complement each other. We all have our strengths, but we all love Lake Forest Middle School. So I'm here representing our Student Government Association this morning. So I'm one of the assistant principals at Lake Forest. I've been at Lake Forest for 27 years. I came as a student teacher in 1997 and have been there ever since. So my story is a little bit different than some others, but I love Lake Forest with all my heart. So we do lots of great things there at the school. Middle school is a difficult time in children's lives. I say it's the toughest transition of all. I think it's harder than going to kindergarten. I think it's harder than going to high school. And so my focus from the beginning has been to help students find their thing, find their place, let them experiment with a lot of different extracurricular opportunities. So when they enter high school and post-secondary school, that they know what path they want to take. And not just academically, because they're going to get their academics wherever they go, but to have opportunities that are a little different, always high caliber, that they can really grow from. And so we see students do that, and some students are our athletes, and that's wonderful, and they go that route. And some students are very club focused. We have students who really focus on the fine arts. We have an extraordinary fine arts program, and students that take that route, which is wonderful. But it's just helping kids find their thing. And a lot of kids, for the first time, find that student leadership is that thing, and it hooks I call it getting a hook in their jaw early, and they find out that that's what they want to focus on. And you can do multiple things. You can be a student athlete, you can be a student musician, and also be a student leader, but it's just fine-tuning those skills so that they're, ready to conquer the world whenever they leave us.
Well, and you're here representing SGA, but you're not just a representative. I think you are the figurehead of SGA. And what I love about you, Dr. Sapp, I served in an assistant principal role at the high school and secondary level for a long time. And in my mind, there was no way for me to contribute. I mean, I just didn't feel like you at the time. So it's unbelievable that you've taken ownership of SGA and have taken it to such an incredible level. So we're excited to have you and excited to let you highlight this, but we also don't want to really undervalue your role in this, because it's not like you're just, hey, the sponsor and you guys go meet over there. You really take ownership of it. And so we're thankful to have you and the lovely ladies that you have here, the guests would you introduce our special guests here today?
So yes, so I brought 3 young ladies with me this morning. Emma Hakes is our student body president, and she is an 8th grader. And Katie Neely is our student body vice president. She's also an 8th grader. And I also brought Britain Sapp, who happens to be my daughter, but she is a a Lake Forest alumnus. She was student body president whenever she was at Lake Forest, and she has student leadership in her veins. That's all that she's ever known.
That apple didn't fall far
That's
from
a
the
fact.
tree.
That's a fact.
I was going to say.
So yeah, she didn't really have a choice in the matter, but she's always loved. And I have pictures of her even as an infant, even before she was born, in utero at student council events. And so yeah, she's had no choice in the matter. But it's
the
super
price
fun.
you pay for being a principal's child,
Yeah.
right? I mean, that just kind of comes with the territory. So,
And I also just want to interject that yes, I do play the role in that I have been with student government since 1998. J.C. Bowman was the previous sponsor back in that time. He had an offer to move to Nashville and do some different kind of work. The principal at the time, Ed Howard, said, yes, Mr. Bowman, you can go do this other job, but you have to find a student council, someone to replace you. So I was the new teacher on campus, and he came to me and asked me would I do student council, and I said yes, and then the rest is history, just because I just see the value. But I do have a team of other teachers I could not do it without them. Like, we divided up, they carry a huge responsibility in the group as well.
that's awesome. Yeah. So let's get to the stars of the show, and we'll start with our student body president. So you did not add that in at the beginning, so I didn't know we had like royalty here. So
Absolute royalty.
student body president, Emmett, talk a little bit about kind of your experience just as a student at Lake Forest.
As a student in Lake Forest, so when I was in the 6th grade, I kind of got introduced to SGA. So when I was in 6th grade, we would apply around Christmas time. So I saw the food drive, which is now one of my favorite events ever. And I just saw all the decorating for the dances. So I applied in 6th grade and got in, and it was really just my clique. It was so fun just going to the meetings and like meeting everybody. And then in 7th grade, I came back and I ran for student body vice president, which I got elected. So I got to do a lot of the things I do now, but obviously with one of my very favorite people, JC Trentham, who was our president last year. So I got to help with the food drive as a vice president and decorate the dances and help lead. So it really gave me a lot of experience for the role I have now, which is president. And so, I really like it because I get to help with the meetings a lot. Like, it's just something I've kind of taken upon myself. So in the meetings, I get to lead the cheers, which it's not what you really think about at 8 o'clock in the morning. You're not like, man, I just really want to go cheer and be a crazy hooligan.
No, I just want coffee and
Yeah,
nobody
absolutely.
to bother me
That's
till
right.
10 o'clock.
Yes. So we do some, and they repeat after me. We're jumping around. It's 8:15 in the morning, and I think it really puts us all on a great start. And just like, it's something the students do as well, which we try to encourage them, but a lot of these students are just so excited in SGA, and I am too. It's something I really enjoy. I look forward Thursday mornings, going to SGA, talking to all the people. So yeah,
Judge, we work a lot. We're serving. We're meeting. It doesn't sound like something that your average middle school student would appeal to.
Right. Because what do you think when we think, generically about teenagers? We're thinking about, man, I'm in my phone. I'm doing this, what's going on in this social media platform, that social media platform. But to have kids buy into, and we've talked a lot about leadership on this program, and to have kids buy into that. And when they take ownership of it, that's what makes it, and I'm sure Dr. Sapp would agree with this. That's what makes this fun and enjoyable, to see those kids grow in those roles and to take ownership and own it, and it become their program. You're just guiding the ship and keeping it afloat. They're driving the driving force behind it.
And Dr. Sapp, so how do you create that in the group that you have? Because obviously it's a strong program, and we'll get into some of the highlights, but how do you work to create that within a group of teenagers that the world today says, man, they don't do anything. They're lazy. What do you do for that?
Right. So the kids come to us highly motivated, excellent students from the beginning. However, we just give them opportunities to lead, and they just run with it. And so we're very organized. We meet every week. We have activities that we do each week, each month that are on the schedule. They know, what's coming. Every year we add new and different things. It does not stay stagnant. They know that we're always going to do new projects. We add to that every year. We're very, very involved in the Tennessee Association of Student Councils and the Southern Association of Student Councils. And we participate in their activities as well. We go to their workshops. We've hosted 4 TASC workshops ourselves. We go to the state convention every year. So they're getting to go and do and see. We just got back from the SASC conference in South Carolina. I took these ladies over there to give them that experience. So they're getting to travel. They're getting to network with other students from across the state. They make lasting friendships with these people from across the state that they keep in touch with. Just a couple years ago, we had a student graduate from Bradley Central High School, and I'm just going to back up to his 6th grade year. He came in as a 6th grader, kind of unsure of what his thing was going to be. I took him to the TASC state convention. He decided student council was his thing. He went on to Bradley Central High School. He graduated 2 years ago and went to Harvard University as a result of, and I don't take the credit for that. He's an amazing kid, but just that's where he got his start. And then whenever he became involved in TASC, he was the TASC president for the whole state. So he got his hook sitting in a little SGA room at Lake Forest Middle School. And as a high school student ran for TASC president, won that. The previous TASC president had gone to Harvard. So he followed her lead, applied. He's at Harvard now. And all of that started as a 6th grader at Lake Forest Middle School. And again, it's not because of me. It's not because of the school. We just gave him the opportunity, and it became his thing. And it's amazing.
So girls, we've started our Harvard application. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. Yes.
And Katie, so reflect on your time as well. I mean, there's been so much in terms of what SGA has done and provided. Reflect on kind of your start walking. Where did you go to elementary school, first of all?
So actually I went to Hopewell Elementary, and
Go Tigers.
yeah. And coming from Hopewell to Lake Forest was a really big change, because just every morning the drive is quite literally 30 minutes. And I was also the only one from my elementary school who went to Lake Forest. Like, we had 4 people go to Cleveland. Everyone else went to Ocoee. And 6th grade was just a really big change for me. And then already going to Lake Forest, my mom is also a principal at Bradley Central, and she already knew Dr. Sapp. She already knew a lot of people that worked at Lake Forest. So I just, so I kind of went and I was like, oh, okay, well, I know you. And I'm like, well, I enjoy SGA. So, I enjoyed being in clubs. So I was like, okay, I want to apply for this. And when I applied, I really enjoyed it. SGA got me through a lot of stuff. Dr. Sapp actually got me through a lot of stuff in 6th grade. And then immediately when I was in 6th grade, actually, Britain and Olivia Chastain were my student body president and vice president. And I took a lot of inspiration from them. And then in 7th grade, when I was in SGA, I also was, SGA secretary. And then I moved up this year, because immediately last year, when I knew at the end of the year, after Emma had ran for vice president, I knew that me and her both wanted to take after Britain and Olivia's footsteps. And we both kind of wanted to be like the president and vice president, kind of like inspiration.
Yeah, take over the world type thing.
Yeah.
Right, sure.
So that was kind of it. But really just SGA just got me through a lot of stuff. It was one thing that I knew, like, if I always needed something, I could go to Dr. Sapp. I could go to any of the other advisors in SGA. And it really just helped me fit in a lot more, because especially with the cheers and Britain and Olivia's really high energy, I was just really thankful for that in 6th grade.
I'm blown away.
Well, Denny, here's the thing I'm already getting out of this is we've got to meet kids and give them opportunities.
Yep.
And give them chances to find what works for them. And sometimes we get caught up in, and I know we talk a lot about athletics and academics and all that stuff, but that doesn't necessarily fit every single kid. It's finding where they are and giving those opportunities and then letting them flourish. And that's what I'm hearing. I'm hearing, hey, I found something that I enjoyed that worked for me, and it became something that helped motivate me. And it not only motivated me within the organization, but it motivated me to be a good student, a good person. And that's what we need in schools. That's to me, what school is. It's not about just getting a grade. And yes, I understand the importance of all that, but it's about giving our students opportunities and a variety of opportunities to find where they fit best.
Well, and we have schools that provide that holistic approach to education that's not solely focused on a test score or, specific to, hey, you've got to perform at this level. They're providing opportunities for our kids.
And yeah, we talked about it last week. I mean, last week we had in our last show, we had a music teacher. Music was a very important part of her life, and she was wanting to feed that back into this. And now we've got students here that are excited about SGA. It's about finding those places and giving those kids those opportunities.
Well, what I love, and I'll brag on Dr. Sapp, it starts with an adult that has a passion and that's willing to commit their time, because without that,
because the kids see that.
That's
if
right.
you're not putting forth the effort,
that's right.
They know what's going on. They are the great detector in that regard. You guys know when it matters, and when you feel important, they feel that.
Well, and so the program's going to follow the passion of its leaders, and I think that's just great business, and that's just great leadership. And Britain, I've been so impressed with you, and we'll go way back to, I want to say, pre-K. I think. Talk to us about your pre-K experience at the Family Life Center. Do you remember your teacher at the Family Life Center?
I do remember her, actually, Miss Cassie.
Miss Cassie.
Since I entered school, I've always loved it. It's just been a place for me to really thrive. Yeah, but I loved it, every bit of it.
So she was super instrumental in you leading and becoming the woman that you are today, right?
Yeah, for sure, absolutely.
Miss Cassie's my wife. So
yeah, I was just wondering when
that
plug. He'll say hey, don't go to minute 6:18 and listen to this.
Well, and it's neat because I remember, Cassie talking about Britain and how special she was as a pre-K student. And so it's fun to see our students throughout the county grow and thrive and be in these positions. And Britain, leadership has been important to you. And I know we joked about this, that, Dr. Sapp is here and she's a leader. And so, you're kind of drug into this, but you've taken off in your own accord as a student at Bradley Central. Talk about, look at these ladies in terms of where they are, in terms of where you were in their position, where you are now, and where you're going to be, and the role SGA played in that.
Yeah, I love student council with my whole heart. I remember when I was little, I would see what my mom does, and I'd be like, man, I want to go to mommy's work, and I want to wear the cool shirts and go to dances and go on these fun trips and everything. And so then in 6th grade, I applied to be in student council. I got in. I know everyone's worried about that. Yeah, and then I just really loved it. It was such a fun experience for me. And then COVID hit. And so I remember just being so sad that I couldn't do all the things at school that I loved anymore. And then fast forward to 7th grade, I applied to be the East Tennessee middle level representative and host the fall workshop at Lake Forest. And so I remember I prepared a speech and everything. And they're like, yeah, Britain, you got in, you're doing it. And so we hosted it at our school. It took a lot of team effort. I definitely could not have done it by myself.
Expand on that real quick. So when you say you hosted this event, who was there?
So it was all of East Tennessee.
I mean, this was a big deal. I believe the school, we went to distance learning that day and used the school. So we had so many different SGAs coming into Bradley County, specifically to Lake Forest, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And what happened there? Talk about that, because that was a big event for our system. This isn't just something that happens randomly. This is a big event.
Yeah, it was super fun. Lots of students came. And so they all came to our school. Our theme was NASA. And so all of our shirts had that NASA font on it. And we spent the whole night before just decorating, making sure that it looked really good and fun, because I think students, especially students in student council, really appreciate and admire and notice the hard work you put into all these different projects, because they live in that same world. And so whenever we go to other workshops now, or whenever we go to other conventions, I know the work that goes into that. And so I'm always just so impressed by everything everyone does. We had really good speakers that came, and it was just really wonderful. It was such like a good experience for me. It was so eye-opening to see like everyone that was there, and they like loved the same things that I loved, and I just really enjoyed that.
So we also, at that event, we had former SGA members who came back to host breakout sessions. So we gave them that opportunity as high school students to lead and to come back. And then Dr. Walker, from president of Lee University, he came with our keynote speaker. So we were bringing in that post-secondary exposure for a local college. And so it really was just a big community effort, big community event.
And I'll throw this out. I appreciate Dr. Sapp bringing this to light, because it really is about the opportunity to lead and giving these kids the opportunity to lead. So I want the three of you guys to jump in and share maybe some experiences that you've had in leadership. A lot of our podcast is about leadership.
Yeah.
Coach.
So one experience in leadership, I know I told you before the show, my favorite event ever is the canned food drive that we host at Lake Forest. It's one of my favorites just because of all the students, all the effort they put in. And so last year, I basically kind of helped run it since I was vice president. So every morning, I would go to the SGA room and I would put all the numbers down for all the cans. So on Monday, it would be a little bit, and then Tuesday, it got bigger. And just as the week went on, bigger, and bigger. And it is a really big competition in our 7th grade. So our grades are split up in 3. They're called bears. So in 7th grade, it's Ghost Bear, Andean Bear, and Himalayan Red Bear. So it's really big. At the beginning of the year, I remember it last year, they were like, bring cans. Like, we're not going to lose. And so Himalayan Red Bears,
Dr. Sapp's putting pressure on you, right? I mean, like,
no, it's the teachers.
oh, the teachers are putting
Yes.
pressure. I got you.
I mean, my English teacher, they have these little closets. It would be full of cans. And they were like, we're going to turn these in on Thursday. We're going to catch everyone off guard.
Don't spill any secrets now,
No
because
secrets,
I
yeah.
think there's some teachers
Yeah.
that might have some, well hidden, hey, don't give away, what we're trying to do here.
But the students do it, and I personally love it. I would bring cans, I'd bring money, and the teachers really kind of lead it. And the teachers don't have to, so that's also something I really enjoy. And then I got to help lead it. So me and our president last year, we were the only people that knew who were ahead that day. So every day in class, they'd be like, who's winning? I'd be like, I can't really say. And then it gets to Friday, and I am like so quiet. I'm like, I can't tell anybody. Imagine if someone knew. I'd be so scared. Like, what would happen? So I'm sitting there, and I know who's winning. Nobody knows. Like, we have little turkeys that show how many feathers, which is how you count. So a quart is a feather, or a can's a feather. And so I'd be like, oh, I know which team has the most feathers. So all day I was just like, don't tell anybody. But it was really fun just to do that and be able to lead that. So like before, I'd be like, okay, guys, make sure you bring your money. Like, even if we don't win, it's for the community, and that's all that matters. And then we have North Cleveland Church of God that supports it. And that last Friday, we give the check. It was me and the president, J.C. Trentham, who did it. And we would give the check to the guy, shake his hand, talk to him, like, oh, tell him all about the event. Like, we got all these cans and all this money. I think we had a few $1,000s last year.
That's awesome.
One Friday, the Himalayan Red Bears, who are like 5-time champions in the 7th
Shout
grade,
out.
That's serious.
Shout out
Yeah.
to the Red Bears.
Yeah.
I feel like they have fake trophies in the room. They're like, we're the winners, because it's super big in 7th grade. It's kind of sad, but 8th grade is not the best at it, but they get a little better each year. But it's nice. They donated $1,000 in one day. It was so hard to count. There's more people in the 7th grade that collect, and they counted so many quarters. I felt so bad for them. Every time they would lose count, they would have to restart, and I was like, oh, so I'd go over and help them count quarters. But it was just nice to help lead that, just so it benefits our school, as in like kind of raising school spirit, and it also benefit the community a bunch, like giving a bunch of people food for Thanksgiving, and it's a lot of cans too. So not only money, but like there's a whole lot of cans.
That's awesome. Katie, what's something in terms of leadership that you've been involved in?
So one thing that I know that we do, because I actually was the one who brought up the idea, was when I came in 6th grade, because obviously having my mom also work in the education field, I was like, one thing that I really want to do is something for the teachers, because I'm all about teacher appreciation. And of course I love stuff for the community. That's like one of my biggest things. But obviously, just with my mom and her just always being stressed out and stuff, which, I don't know if I should say that. Okay.
Oh, no,
that's fine. No, well,
then,
she's a high school principal. She's always stressed out. Yes.
Yeah. But anyways, I just knew that even the little things could impact just a teacher or even like an administrator's day. So one thing that I actually, had us starting doing, and I hope that even after I leave Lake Forest this year, I will still like be able to help with this, is like little door hangers. Cause my dad actually works at a printing business. He owns a printing business, and we have them make about 300 door hangers, and we bring them to the school, like free of charge. No, like we don't accept money for them or anything. We bring them to the school, and we assign each kid like 1 or 2, maybe even 3 teachers, and they just decorate the door hangers for that teacher. Cause normally it's like a teacher the kids really liked or like whatever. And then usually one day after school, normally I try and do this around TCAP time. Or like I try to like have like this stuff, or like I don't know, but because I know TCAP is really stressful for teachers, because like they get like bored. There's nothing really for them to do. It's stressful with making sure every kid has like the test and no one's talking. So that way, like they can look at their door hangers and just be like, wow, a kid self-made this for me. Like it's just really a thing that I like to do, because I think that it just shows that even though like stuff still gets stressful, like students are still working for the teachers. And doing stuff for them. Like, that's just one of my favorite things, especially for just the door hangers. Because it's just like a little thing to start off their day, because they walk in the morning, they're like, oh, I got a door hanger. Like, that's just one of my favorite things about stuff like that.
And I know the teachers really enjoy it. I know a couple teachers have some from a few years ago. They're laminated. Some of them still have them on their door. And my math teacher, she keeps them on her desk or hanging around it. So it's really fun to just see. And it's like, I'll pass by some I've made, and I'll be like, oh, I made that. And she still has that. So it's kind of fun to just see how much the teachers enjoy it.
It's the little things, Coach.
It is the little things. And I think it's great. It helps the general morale of the entire school, because sometimes, and we've talked about this in the show, I've got a whole family of educators, and sometimes this world can be stressful. It can beat you down, but nothing. And even when I go back to when I was teaching, nothing makes you feel better when a student comes up and says, I appreciate what you do.
Absolutely.
Because we don't get in this business for the fame, the glory, the money. We get in it because we love kids. And when kids feel that and they want to express that to you, there's nothing better in education when that happens. And I'll tell you how valuable that made me feel when I was teaching, and how valuable what you're doing makes teachers feel. They feel that. And that, again, that goes back to leadership. It goes back to giving and being supportive of one another. It's, school is a joint venture. There is the teacher side of it and the student side of it. And we've got to find a way to make those things cooperate and work together. And when there's affection going both directions, it makes a big difference.
Absolutely.
Kind of piggybacking off what he said, I do love teacher appreciation. Me and Katie are actually doing a breakout session on teacher appreciation. But a few weeks ago, it was the Thursday before fall break, we had this huge table. It was labeled "You Spice Up Our School," and everything was pumpkin spice themed. If you hate pumpkins, you would have hated this. There was so much pumpkin, you could have turned into one. So we had pumpkin loaf, pumpkin cookies, pumpkin cake balls, pumpkin butter, and then huge tables, those collapsible white ones. There's probably 2 or 3 of those filled with food. And then we had a whole table of coffee and creamer. We had a cake Keurigs full of that, and that was really fun. We just got to see it in the mornings. All the teachers it's kind of a surprise because they don't really expect it. It's a normal Thursday for them,
right?
Trying to get to break, and then you're kind of surprised with this coffee. And I know a lot of teachers love coffee.
Amen.
It's so much coffee.
That's right. That's the way to the teacher heart, right?
Absolutely.
Coffee and a free breakfast. And that's awesome. And again, the things that I'm hearing, it's about serving others. And I love that, SGA and not just Lake Forest, but our SGAs and our student governments throughout our district that really is the focus. It's service, and it's showing appreciation to others, and how can we serve our community and others. And Britain, I want to get your take, and I'm gonna pin you down to one specific thing. Obviously, you can talk about whatever you want, but I know that you're on the student advisory council for our district, and you're a part of a group that provides input and some opinion, and you share. And
I will say this: powerful input, because when it comes from you and it goes to the boss,
that's right.
It makes a difference. Well, you're making a difference in what's happening in our schools.
It's a huge leadership role for a person in your position as a sophomore, in high school. Share your experience there.
Well, I just feel so honored to be included in that kind of thing. It's really just so wonderful being able to go like once or twice a year. I started doing it in the 6th grade, and going into that room the first time, 1, I was tired. 2, I was really nervous, and I was like, there are all these like high schoolers in here, and I am just 11 years old, so nervous. But Dr. Cash really does a great job of making sure that everyone feels included, that everyone's voice matters, that what you have to say could impact someone else. And it doesn't matter, like, if you're in 6th grade or if you're in 12th grade, you still can make a difference in our community and, like, spot the problems in your school and, like, workshop how that can be fixed.
I love that. I think workshop is a great word. We can probably work on the timing with her a little bit better. We could say, hey, maybe not 7:30 a.m.
I was going to say,
the day after Halloween.
When I get invited to those meetings, I struggle getting there. That's for sure.
November 1, 7:30. So, but you do a great job. And I'll say this with Mom present. We talked about that before. She's part of a group that does a phenomenal job, and their heart is in that room, and you can tell they care about their schools, they care about their fellow students, they care about their teachers, and so it's nice to hear from teenagers a heart and a passion for our system. So, Britain, is there any? I know I kind of pinned you down to that one. Is there anything additional you'd like to say about your role in leadership as a member of SGA or as a student at Bradley?
Yeah, when I was at Lake Forest my 8th grade year, I was student body president. And so I really enjoyed being able to do that, making announcements over the intercom. That was really cool for me. And then
has to be terrifying, right? Making announcements. Cause it's just so, did you use the phone?
Is it more or less terrifying than being on this podcast?
I really don't know. There's kind of like the same nervousness. Yeah, but like you pick up the phone and you talk into it. It's really cool. And then like everyone can hear your voice over the whole school. And so the first time I did it, I was like, oh Lord, please don't let me say the wrong thing. Everyone in the whole school is going to know.
Well, there's power in learning that code that you have to type in to get that. So that's a lot of power in being able to say, hey, I can communicate with anybody. At any
that would
time.
have not been good if I would have known the code.
Yeah. And then I went to high school, and I'm in student council there now, and I still love it. Miss Ivester does a really good job. I love her so much. I just really love student council.
That's awesome. Well, and I'm blown away. And Dr. Sapp, I'll come back to you. Honestly, as I've been able to spend more and more time at Lake Forest and with the teachers and the students and the administration at the school, I can see this incredible culture at Lake Forest that's so positive. And it's really neat to see the different opportunities that you guys provide for students. And that's something, again, that's prevalent throughout our system. It's just awesome that we have leaders growing leaders. I think that's a big deal.
It is. And one of the things that we intentionally do in our student council is to do activities that include all students. So we have a big focus on including students who have special needs, and we do activities specific for that. We have a big focus on even little things like Spirit Week. When we make selection on what our days are going to be, we discuss among our leaders what are things that all kids have at home? What are things that all kids can participate in that do not require an order from Amazon, just so that all students can feel a part and participate. And that's very, very important to us, that it's not just a certain faction of the student body that gets to, have this popularity and be separate from the other students, but that we're including all students. And I think that our Webb program, which is a new program for us this year, also does that. It stands for Where Everybody Belongs. and where 7th and 8th graders are mentoring 6th graders and giving them a place. And for us as leaders to be on the lookout for other non-traditional leaders who may not fit, a certain mold that you would think would be a student leader. But so many of our kids have risen to the occasion because they've been given that opportunity to lead. And so they have run with that, and they wear that t-shirt with pride. They carry that responsibility with such focus, and they want their grades to be good this year. They want to maintain all the criteria so that they can continue to participate in that program. So that's an intentional focus at Lake Forest, that to include all, to find a way for all kids, to find their thing, like I said earlier.
Well, it's been absolutely wonderful having you on the show. We appreciate all you for being here today. And you ladies are making an impact. Not ladies, and I mean all of them sitting around the table. You're making a positive impact at your school and in your community. And that's what Denny, what school's about, is we're developing good humans. And there's a lot of good humans sitting around this table right now.
Absolutely. I have really benefited from just being a part of this podcast to hear and to start to think outside of really what society defines school as, which is, we got test grades and scores and, what do these things look like in sports? But it's been really interesting to see young people like the three of you and to be able to talk to leaders like Dr. Sapp and to highlight some of the things in our school. So I'm super proud of y'all for coming on. I know this is kind of nerve wracking, but I'm thankful that you guys are here. And like Coach Webb said, you're making an impact. All four of you are making a big impact. So the only one that didn't get to shout out, because it was just a revelation who Katie was. I had no idea that you were Miss Neely's daughter. So we've got Miss Neely getting a shout out. We had Britain, of course, Dr. Sapp. Emma, you're the only one that didn't get a shout out to your folks. Anybody you want to shout out?
I want to shout out my mom.
Yeah, it's always got to make sure mom gets in there.
Well, my mom just supports me so much. Obviously, my mom has a huge calendar. She sends it out to all my family. She's the reason I don't forget my food items. I always have to text her, like right after I get my item for any breakfast. I'm like, Mom, make sure we get this. And she always has it. She always makes sure I have my shirt washed and ironed. And my mom obviously takes me to all my things, and she also pays for it. So I went to TASC, so she paid for that. So I got to have fun at TASC and SASC. So love you, Mom.
That's awesome. Well,
that's covering all your bases right there. Well, that's going to do it for this episode of Around the County. Thanks. Around the County is available on, I always have to look at the graphics so I can remember which ones. It's available on Apple, Google, Spotify, and Amazon Music. So just search for Around the County. For Denny Collins, I'm Scott Webb. For Dr. Sapp, for Britain, for Katie, for Emma. Thanks for listening to another edition of Around the County.